Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are talking about smart home systems because essentially everybody's wiretapping themselves. I don't care which smart home system you're using, Google Home, Amazon Echo, take your pick. But let's dive into this, and first things first, let's talk about the latest news that got me thinking along these lines, because quite frankly, we're just bugging ourselves, and I think that's nuts. Now this is coming from the Hacker News, and essentially here's what's going on. A security researcher was awarded a bug bounty recently of $107,500 for identifying security issues in Google Home smart speakers that could be exploited into installing back doors and then turning them into wiretapping devices. Now, this flaw, and I quote, allowed an attacker within wireless proximity to install a backdoor account on a device, enabling them to send commands to it remotely over the internet, access its microphone feed, make arbitrary requests within the victim's network. Now, the researcher, who goes by the name Matt Coons, disclosed his technical write-up published basically the last week of December, though this vulnerability was discovered a while ago, and I'll talk about that in a second. Now, in making such malicious requests, not only could the Wi-Fi password of that network, meaning your home network, get exposed, but also provide the attacker direct access to other devices connected to your network as well. Now, following a responsible disclosure on January 8th of last year, these issues were remediated in April of basically last year as well. And by last year, I actually mean 2021, not 2022. I just realized we're in 2023. Now, the problem, in a nutshell, has to do with how Google's home software architecture can be leveraged to add a rogue Google user account to the target's home automation device. In essentially the attack chain detailed by the researcher, an attacker looking to eavesdrop on a victim can trick the individual into installing a malicious Android app, which, upon detecting a Google Home device on the network, then starts issuing stealthy requests to link the attacker's account to the victim's device, thus giving them access so they can look things up, record, open the microphone, whatever it is. And this is just one aspect of, I think, the overall issue that we have. I understand that home automation and smart devices like Google Home, Amazon Echo, aka, and I'm not going to say the word because I always get in trouble. Somebody always yells at me when I say that, so I apologize if I trip up. But my point being is, these things are there for convenience, but understand that one, like any software, I don't care if it's a Windows computer or, a mobile phone, whatever it is, these have software vulnerabilities that need constant fixing and patching. We've also seen consistently that the security flaws in the design of a lot of these IoT devices, including the ones from Google and Amazon, have had plenty of flaws that can be exploited in some way, shape, or form. This is not the first time we've seen this kind of news. On top of this, understand that these smart home devices are essentially coming from companies that want to data mine you to understand what you're saying, what you're doing, and all of that, to understand you better in order to have their algorithms then prioritize the type of advertising that you want to hear and you want to see. We had an example of this, actually, interestingly enough, of one of these devices, in this case an Amazon Echo, for a woman living in Portland, Oregon, that went completely haywire, recorded live a conversation that she and her husband were having, and then emailed that conversation to one of the husband's employees, who promptly called them and said, "Oh my God, you have to unplug your Amazon Echo. It basically just recorded a conversation that you and your husband are having right now, and sent it to me." And she said, "No, you didn't." And he said, "You were talking about hardwood floors." And she said, "Oh my God," unplugged it and called Amazon. And Amazon basically, in their Amazonness, said, "Yeah, we see the problem," and then did nothing. And that's essentially what Amazon does. They say, "Oh, we fixed it, et cetera, but did not disclose." She went to her local NBC affiliate in Portland to report this, and basically Amazon then had to come out with some absolutely bonkers explanation to say, and in the course of this conversation, basically this husband and wife triggered the device, the Amazon Echo, told it to record, told it to save the recording, told it to send the recording, selected a recipient for the recording, and then confirmed that the recording should be sent, all in a conversation about hardwood floors. That is utterly and absolutely ridiculous. We've also seen other apps that have been, or skills, in this case for the Amazon Echo, that have been developed that do things like allow something to be recorded and then keep the microphone on once the skill has been used to send those recordings live of audio wherever they want. Two researchers a couple of years ago did this with the calculator app. So you'd go to, your Echo, hey, Echo, hey, device, what's 1 plus 1? And the device would say the answer is 2. The ring would go off, the mic would stay on, and they could, for as long as they configured it in the programming, hear everything live, sending to a server that was outside of Amazon's ecosystem. So this is a huge problem that we have here, not to mention the fact we have privacy issues, and I've done videos, podcasts, and talked about this on my radio show regarding the police gaining access to these things without warrants and everything else. So I think this is just a big problem that we're going to continue to see. But understand, you're essentially bugging your house. If you go through and read articles on the actual recordings that Amazon has that people have dumped online, like, oh my God, Amazon has 3,000 minutes of me just saying things to this, or recording conversations that Amazon has collected, it's absolutely nuts. And so I don't understand why people would bug their house. I get that, it's nice, it's convenient, there's automation in there, but that's not essentially I think worth it in that sense. I can go flip on a light switch myself without Amazon needing to know. And this is true. I've talked about this before. Understanding the telemetry of when you turn on and off your lights and other smart devices, meaning they understand when you go to bed, when you arise, and all of that. If there's cameras in the house and you're wearing a t-shirt, let's say with the band on it, now you're starting to get advertising for these kinds of things. We have consistently heard cases about this and read cases about this coming from legitimate news sources, not to mention the research into the vulnerabilities of these things that allow access. We've seen Google Nest gain access. If you recall, Google Nest, when it was torn down and basically physically taken apart, researchers found a microphone in there in one of their models that was not in the specifications, and Google said, oh, our bad, we forgot to include the microphone in the specifications. It's inert. We might use it later. We're not sure. These are the kinds of things that we are talking about. You're looking at the largest data mining companies in the entire world trying to monetize absolutely everything that you do. And so why wouldn't they be listening in? It just makes sense. And we have case after case after case that I've talked about in the past, and a little bit here just to talk about this. So there you go. If you're going to still use these Amazon devices and Google devices and Apple devices and all of that, you can't say you haven't been told, but I don't have any in the house except for demos, and right now they're all literally physically unplugged, and I only turn them on when I'm basically doing demonstrations on them or seeing how easy it is to break in. So there you go. Take that for what it's worth, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.